King Von was one of the biggest rappers coming out of Chicago. Like many other drill rappers who are really about that life, sadly his music career was cut short due to street activity. Dayvon Bennett, otherwise known as King Von, was born on August 9th in 1994. Being born and raised in Chicago at age 16, King Von went to jail for his first time. This would only be the beginning of his long history of legal issues. King Von was arrested several times before Lil Durk finally stepped in and signed him to his OTF label. OTF, known as Only the Family, is Lil Durk's label who has been signing Chicago rappers for the last few years. King Von's first single that he released under the label was titled Crazy Story. Released on December 6, 2018, this single alone would go on to change King Von's life forever. With King Von's music career at an all-time high, him and Lil Durk got themselves involved in a very serious court case back in 2019. Lil Durk and King Von were arrested in connection of using firearms in Atlanta towards a rival street member known as Alexander Witherspoon. They caught Alexander Witherspoon outside in a parking lot of a diner called The Varsity. They robbed this individual for $30,000 worth of cash, took his chains, as well as stealing his vehicle. King Von and Lil Durk were quickly arrested and brought into jail, but after 2 weeks in jail, Durk and King Von were released on $250,000 bond with conditions that the two rappers could not have any contact with each other. With the two rappers having a restraining order against each other, things sadly didn't end well. On October 30th, King Von released his studio debut album, titled Welcome to O Block. 1 week later on November 6, King Von with a select few friends, family members, and business partners all met at a club in downtown Atlanta celebrating the release of his newest album. Atlanta is home of the best recording studios, the best way to record with other rappers for features, and it's also the best place to be noticed. It does have many negative sides as well, as Atlanta has the highest crime rate involving rappers. While at the album release party, it was said by many people there that King Von wasn't acting like himself that night. He was acting very strange and constantly looking at his cell phone. This could have been due to the fact that he got word mid-party that Quando Rondo was at a different club nearby. At the end of the celebration party, King Von heads into his SUV with a driver and his music manager. Usually Von rolls around with 3 security as well as all of the boys from O Block, but tonight was a different story. After the celebration party ended, they all started driving towards the Airbnb. Halfway to the Airbnb, King Von tells the driver of his vehicle to turn around and go to this lounge called Monaco. Without telling the rest of his boys and security members, King Von's car then started heading there. At this lounge, Quando Rondo just so happened to be there, sitting in the parking lot, taking a nap inside of his McLaren. It's still unconfirmed whether or not this was a coincidence, these two meeting up, but I don't believe it was. When arriving at the lounge, King Von sat into his SUV for around 20 to 30 minutes, not speaking to anyone, just sitting on his phone. That's when his music manager gave a call quickly to the security and everyone at the Airbnb, telling them to rush over to Monaco as King Von was acting very strange and he was trying to scope someone out. King Von's security then started flooring it down the highway, going over to Monaco. They arrive to the parking lot, they're then seen on video surveillance, all coming in with their massive SUVs. It looked crazy. One of King Von's boys then scout out Quando Rondo. They go over to tell King Von, hey, did you know Rondo was here? That's when King Von was seen hopping out of his SUV, walking into the middle of the street where a white SUV was parked. Quando Rondo was standing beside this white SUV, talking through the window to his best friend Lil Tim. King Von and his crew then quickly started swarming Rondo out in the middle of the street. A brawl then broke out between King Von and Quando Rondo. While going at it, no firearms were being used, just a straight up brawl. That's when Quando Rondo's best friend Lil Tim hops out of the white SUV and pulls out a firearm and uses it to defend Rondo in the brawl with King Von. With the sound of firearms being used in the area, undercover cops that were parked down the street started creeping up to the location and started lighting up the area with firearms. As looking at the surveillance footage, it looked like a war zone going on in the middle of the street. Firearms were being used from all over the place, people were running and ducking for cover, and while this was all going down, King Von and Quando Rondo were the only two men still standing out in the middle of the street. All you see then is King Von's best friend Muop then runs over to Von and quickly knocks Quando Rondo out of the way. He grabs King Von and carries him into the getaway vehicle. Sadly, while in the getaway vehicle, they didn't get to the hospital fast enough, which sadly had King Von pass in the process. While it was all going down, Lil Durk just so happened to be on IG Live, with thousands of people spamming his message section saying that King Von just passed, call King Von, call those close to King Von. Lil Durk quickly shut off his IG Live and went right to the people that were with him. Lil Durk was one of the first people to confirm King Von's passing, so everybody knew it was actually real. News quickly broke out online that King Von sadly passed. His 1-week-old album at the time, being Welcome to O-Block, went on to sell 50,000 units. With King Von owning all of his masters and rights to all of his music, all money made from his album was then passed on to his family and kids. If the restraining order between King Von and Lil Durk was never a real thing, I honestly believe this situation never would have even happened. Lil Durk is very smart with how he moves, and he definitely would have brought King Von up to speed with how you're supposed to be moving when you're a famous rapper. King Von typically was very smart. He always rolled with his security and all of his boys from O-Block, but for tonight, he wanted to deal with the situation himself. But fast forward to present day, on March 4th, King Von's new album, What It Means to Be King, will finally be released. With King Von's return to music in 2022, with this new album, he once again owns all of the masters to the songs on the album. All money made from this album will be passed down to his family, so please go stream the album as much as you can. As it looks right now, with this being a 17-song album, this could be the end of all King Von songs that is left in the music vault. So with King Von's music returning in the year 2022, this could be the last time that we ever hear new King Von songs. If you are a King Von fan, leave a like on the video and don't forget to subscribe if you're new. It's been District Trending and I'm out. Peace.